Keith Lee and Dustin Rhodes. What a tag team. I guess they're going to do something on a Friday show that nobody watches, but what the fuck is with Keith Lee and his whisper singing? It was even more prominent here. It's almost like, well, he came out and said in an interview, not on television, but an actual legitimate interview, that the WWE didn't like his promos. I obviously understand why, and it's almost like he's trying to do more of the shit that they didn't like to spite them, and it sounds ridiculous. Just ridiculous. What did he say here, or do you remember?
I don't remember much, but I did watch the match on Rampage, because as we are recording, that aired last night, and I decided because it was live, I was going to try to watch some of it. I couldn't watch the whole thing. They chased me off. But there were different things I saw. Keith Lee, and I actually think this works for him, no longer using hair dye. So the very closely cropped hair he has on his head is now gray.
What?
And the facial hair is
I didn't know. How old is he?
I mean, maybe...
Wait, didn't we say he's late 30s?
There are people who... I knew a kid who went gray in his early 20s.
Well, but he shouldn't have spent that night in the haunted house, but... But well, what the... Does it... Okay, so now he looks better because he's gray-headed?
It just looks more... I don't know, it looks more real, I guess. I don't know why he all of a sudden is...
Boy, look at that. Look at that real guy over on wrestling. He's fat and he's gray-headed and he talks like Fraser Crane, but boy, I believe he's real.
Well, you forget that he's also now walking out to the ring like a druid. He has a giant robe on, but let's get past that. I watched some of that match. It was Dustin and Keith Lee versus Swerve and Parker. You got to see how bad Parker is in the ring. This guy is not anywhere near ready to be on a live television show. Swerve had that big segment with Rick Ross, which was a joke. But
future legend, young legend.
Well, they gave it a lot of time. The segment was a legend. They gave it a lot of time on there. Apparently Swerve, we had heard and we had seen in the results, is someone that, for whatever reason, his segments moved the ratings up. Since that Rick Ross thing, how many times has he actually been on Dynamite? How many times has Keith Lee been on Dynamite? Rick Ross, I know the answer. He hasn't been on anything again. Has anything been followed up on the program where anything happened? And this is an example of a lot of things in AEW. Something happens on Dynamite, and we're supposed to follow it even when it stops happening on the show it happened on. Or something happens on some other show they have, either Rampage, which no one watches, or the YouTube stuff, and we're supposed to know what it is by the time it gets mentioned on TV. It doesn't make any sense. This Swerve and Keith Lee stuff, you have no idea what was going on here. This was one of the biggest things on their show like a month and a half ago.
Yeah, it was a big motherfucker.
They were the World Tag Team Champions. They broke up. Have we had a singles match?
Of course not.